Hey everybody, Danny Maude here. Thanks for joining us. This week I want to focus on senior golfers. I coach quite a few senior golfers and most of them come to me because they've lost a lot of yardage in their game. And they didn't need to lose as much as I'm seeing. So what you'll often find is that, look, as we get older, we're all going to lose some yardage. But I personally find that a lot of the people that are coming to, a lot of golfers that are coming to me are losing far more than they actually need to. And in this week's training, I want to share with you some success stories of some of my clients who we've managed to really increase their power and give you some exercise on how we've done that. But the other thing I want you to do is to show you what is power. How do we actually create it in the first place? So let's get started. What is power? Power, in order to get power, you're going to need to have energy stored at the top of the backswing in order to release it down, right? That's the first thing. Then, once you've stored the energy, you need to then deliver it correctly into the back of the golf ball with the correct sequence. So if you've watched any of my other trainings, this is how we generally do it. So we store energy at the top by making a good full shoulder turn, and then we get the correct sequence on the way down by starting initially with the lower section, followed by the torso, followed by the arms, followed by the club head. Question is, as a senior golfer who has back problems, hip problems, knee problems, how do you do all that? Because you may be finding that I can complete my swing, I can't make a full shoulder turn. And how do I make this correct sequence through the ball? We're going to show you that right now. When I teach senior golfers, they've maybe watched YouTube channels like myself, and they'll often see good players on tour and they're keeping their feet very still. So what they're doing is, you see the top players on tour, they make a big shoulder turn here and their legs are very much rooted to the ground. Well, that's wonderful if you've got the flexibility to rotate and hold resistance in your hips here. That's a great way of generating power for the big boys. The problem is, as a senior golfer, if you've got lack of flexibility or back problems, then you can't do that, right? You can't hold this still and make a turn. So therefore, you can't store energy. You can't get to the top of the backswing. So we need to help you get to the top of that backswing so we can store some energy. How are we going to do that? Well, with a recent client of mine who was suffering from exactly that, he was really struggling to complete his swing. What we did was we got him into a little dance, right? And it's almost like a little two-step dance. So what I did was I said, look, just start to move your feet, or your heels here. Just start to get your left heel moving up, and then your right heel moving up. So you're literally just kind of moving backwards and forwards, right? Now, as you're doing this, I want you to imagine, like I said, just start to get a little turn going on as you're doing this. So you're moving backwards and forwards, right? So both heels now are coming up almost in a motion. Now watch what's happening. If this left heel's coming up, what does it do to my left hip? It moves it. What's it going to then? It creates more, in a sense, space, more flexibility. It's allowing this hip to be more mobile. If this is more mobile, this is more mobile. So now watch. Now suddenly look, we can comfortably get to the top of the backswing, backwards and forwards, right? So now we were able to store a lot more energy in the backswing. Now, it has its downsides. There's a lot more movement, but what we found is it has a couple of effects. Not only does it help to store energy now by helping you to complete, the other thing it does, look, is watch. Because the foot's up, the foot can come down, and what does it do? It also helps you to get the correct sequence, because most of the guys who are losing power, they get to the top of the backswing and they hit here with their top part of their body as opposed to starting with the lower part, so the sequence is out. This motion here is wonderful because as you're starting to pivot now, we can then come back down with the heel first and then naturally flow through. So immediately we've now created a nice rhythm. Now, that's how I would start it. So if you're struggling to get the turn going, the first thing I would do is just start by practicing this really, really simply. Just get the heels initially just going backwards and forward, just lifting up so you feel like you're going to your right, to your left. And it's a mini rotation. I'm not going, as you can see, side to side. I'm simply lifting my heel up on the way back, lifting my heel up on the way through. And you start very small, and then bit by bit, you can then start, look, to add this momentum. And you can see, hopefully now, we're starting to get more mobile in the hips. What do you see now in the transition? The transition's easier because again, it's more natural. It's right to left, right to left, compared to a static stance can often, for a lot of people who struggle with flexibility, they often start to do this. Hit, hit, still very static, right? So that's the first thing I want you to do if you're a senior golfer, is start to add some mobility in this motion. The next thing I want you to do is this. How many of you are trying to keep your head still during this swing? So many golfers I see doing this, right? They're stood over the golf ball here and they are like this and their head's not moving, right? And the problem is this. Check out the guys on tour, even the most flexible guys on tour, they move their heads, right? Their eyes on the ball, yes, but they move their heads. You need, and if you're a senior golfer, you are gonna struggle with neck flexibility, right? So you're gonna have to allow your head to move slightly, right? So now as we move this here, don't be afraid of moving your head just a little bit. Now, if you're wearing glasses, you might find that your head's focused too much down here. Just allow it just to tilt. So you're looking in the corner of your glasses here. So as we're moving, you're going to allow your head to move a little bit here and then back again. And notice what I'm doing on the way through. I'm also allowing my head to flow through. If I don't let my head flow through, I have no flexibility. I cannot move my torso. Look, if my head's there, I can't get a full turn. I can't store the energy. Look at this. If I allow my head to move, I can now store some energy. I can get some power. So that's the second thing. Allow the head to have some freedom, right? You don't have to take your eyes off the ball. That's not what I'm saying. But allow the head to move a fraction so that you can get that shoulder turn back. And then, just as importantly, when you're coming through, don't get it stuck here, because again, you can't release your body, and therefore you can't release the power if your head's rooted to the deck. So allow that then to flow through into a follow through. That's the second thing. Let's wait for the third. So the third and final thing is you need to learn to coordinate all this motion. So if you are moving your lower body nice and freely now, you're going to help to store some energy. If you're allowing your head to move a little bit, you're going to help to kind of create that lovely silky flowing swing. But you're still going to need to coordinate your arms and your body. Now, if your arms go and you've turned, you're going to be right round here, so completely in the wrong place. So we need something that's going to help you coordinate all this motion. And I learned something from a fellow professional of mine, and it's a real simple exercise, and I thought I'd share it with you. So basically, if you grab a golf club, put the club out in front of you here, so it's in front of your chest, with your arms comfortably resting on your side. And what we're going to do, we're going to make some swings based on what we've just been working on. Now, I don't want you to move the swing back by getting your arms separated like this across the body. What I want you to do is I want you to keep the arms out in front of you, and what you're going to try and do here is this. I want you to start to let those heels move, and I want you to start to pivot now around the body. Now notice this, I'm keeping the shaft and this club in front of me. I'm not allowing it to move too much. This is me learning the coordination of arms and body together as opposed to separating them all the time. So simple exercise, let's work on this. So heel up, look at my head, naturally flowing through to the target here. And as I'm doing this, watch this. Now you can see hopefully the coordination coming in. I'm going to show you what the coordination doesn't look like. You might start seeing this. That's the arms in a sense now doing too much. Keeping the arms coordinated, look, with the chest as I'm allowing that freedom to move, okay? So let's have a look at this actually in the real swing. So as we swing back and through, I'm going to pivot now back and through. Super simple, right? So it is an exercise for senior golfers, those who are really struggling to get some flexibility. Look, if you don't suffer with flexibility, you don't need to do this, but I've just found for those who have got real tightness in their back and they're really struggling to load and store some energy, it really, really helps. So let's just summarize briefly. What are we doing? We want to store some energy in the top of the backswing. We want to get the right sequence on the way down. How have we done it? We started off get those heels off the ground, get some mobility in both of those hips. You need to get mobility so that you can turn that torso. If this hip's rock solid, how do you move this? You can't without flexibility, right? So get some mobility in the hips so you can store some energy. Start to practice that as your very first thing and hit balls doing that. The second thing we did after that is we said, look, don't be, in essence, try and keep your head down all the time. None of us have the flexibility to turn and keep our head still. So if you struggle with flexibility at all, it's crazy, right? So allow your head to move slightly. Yes, look at the golf ball, but allow your head gently to move backwards and forwards as you're doing it, right? Then we need to learn to coordinate all that. How do we do that? Well, take the exercise from a fellow professional of mine. Get it in here, put the club in front of you. We don't want this will be uncoordinated, right? The arms are moving separate from the body. Just very gently start to move this together backwards and forwards and allow everything to flow through, heads looking at the target, backwards and forwards. You could do that comfortably at home. When you've done that a few times, then start to imagine the golf swing, right, left, left. Keep it nice and smooth, nice and relaxed, and start to add some flow, and you will start to find that you'll have more mobility, more stored energy, and the great thing about this, you start to get a very natural sequence going on, right? Just as if you were throwing a ball. It really, really works. So look, this isn't for everybody. This is for senior golfers. Look, for those of you who can make a sufficient turn, look, you don't need to worry about this, but I know there's plenty of senior golfers out there, and you may be one where you are struggling with flexibility, you are a bit tight in the backs, maybe you've got some hip problems. This will really, really help. And if you know anybody else, any other senior that you think could benefit from this, please share it. It would really, really help them. And if you've got any questions at all, don't forget to put them either in the comments box below or head on over to my channels on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And of course, if you're enjoying the content and you want to receive it in your inbox every week, don't forget to press the subscribe button and the bell. But until next week, have a great golfing week.